welcome to all of you gathered here and gathered from afar through the streaming. Thank you to Josh Port, to Sherry Thomas, to Bob Taylor for doing all kinds of technical things that I really don't want to know anything about. So they put this in my hand and showed me which is right side up, and I have appeared before you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being a part of something that is so festive, perhaps a part of something that becomes bigger than we are and invites us in to participate. A thank you to the staff of this church, for Rachel, who's always buzzing over to my office when the computer freezes up, for Sue, who says, I remembered those signs that needed to be put on the monkey pews, they're already there. And this year we welcome Mother Mary Ellen, who is a colleague and a friend for life. And we work very closely together. And we work so nicely together and happily together. The people of this faith community have provided space to do things in different ways, to be what I would say innovatively traditional. This evening's program is dedicated to Jean Safer. And if I might, how many of you recognize that name? If you recognize the name, then you know how extraordinary he was. You also know that you can't think of Jean without Diane, that the two are completely inseparable. And on my first Sunday here, they were doing their usher thing, which meant they would be here for the service, be here for the coffee hour, would be taking communion all afternoon to people, and getting home in Hollywood probably, I don't know, after midnight or something like that. And every Sunday doing that, until they felt the need to be worshiping in a faith community right near where they lived. I've never figured out why we couldn't figure a way to beam them up, and so that's one of my questions that I have when I get to the other side, to have a serious discussion about that, because I feel like they've always been here, and every time I see them here, it's like they never left. And Jean departed this life rather quickly. And Diane was so noble and so loving and so present with that Christ light and the God love, and permitted me to be a part of some of that too. Jean and Diane were constantly thinking of where to take Coco to dinner next, but never before trying out the restaurant themselves, usually the night before, to make sure that they knew the names of the staff who would be there when Coco would arrive. And so it's such a pleasure to be able to think that the spirit of all these people that we have known in this faith community and have gone on before us are still here in some way. And if you're a part of some other community, I'm sure you experience the same thing also. Once upon a time, which would probably have been at least 3 many a moons ago, I found myself in college for the first time, the first of 10 years. All of them were, anyway, we'll go into that another day. At the end of the first semester, it was required that I leave the dormitory. And so at choir one night, I just said, I have to leave the dormitory 2 weeks from tonight. Do you know of anyone that might have a room that I could use for this break? And instantly, someone in the choir named Gertrude raised her hand and she said, you can stay at my house. I won't be there because I go to see my children up in somewhere in northern New York, but you're welcome to it. I could not believe that after being in that church and with that choir for 2 to 3 months, that someone would turn their house over to me to offer that kind of radical hospitality. And I thought about that for a long, long time, for many years, as to what that sort of symbolism would be. And I finally figured out it has something to do with being willing to trust people when your gut tells you so, and to stick your neck out and say yes. And so it kind of made sense when Coco decided that this would be the year of the giraffe, that we would end up with a giraffe. And the giraffe's name would be Gertrude. When my daughter was, however old that is, she would spend time with Gertrude, as she called her, and it was always Aunt Gertrude. So I think you should feel welcome to call our resident giraffe Aunt Gertrude, Aunt Gertrude, Aunt G, and I hope you notice that she does have a G spot right there, in case you were wondering. And she has a 7-foot tail that drags on the floor. And there are many other hidden parts of her. We begin working on Shrove Tuesday in the month of August. Little did we know that in the fall I was going to sprain my foot, and for 6 weeks couldn't do anything standing up, but had to be. So we got a little bit behind, and in January, when we started working on Aunt Gertrude, again, it felt as though we weren't going to be ready. But with faith and some help from a friend who visited from Connecticut last week, Gertrude is here. Probably the one thing you might be surprised about is that Gertrude fits in my Subaru inside with all the doors closed because she comes apart. So we had great fun yesterday putting her together, and I'm hoping that she will have a presence in this congregation. I don't know how many churches have a resident giraffe or a resident gorilla, but I do believe that God is always present and nudging us through the Holy Spirit to try new and different things. And so tonight, I'm just thankful that you're here, thankful for Jean Safer, thankful for Mother Mary Ellen and the people who make this all happen. And there's a whole bunch of, I think they're humans over there waiting to be a part of the parade that you can be in next year. Thank you.
Good evening. So I have a question to ask you. What have you to confess? Do you know that that's what Shrove Tuesday means? That means you confess and that you're going to receive penance. So is everybody ready for that? You don't seem so sure. So who knows the French words? You all remember my husband's French. He's sorry to not be here tonight because he has a cold. But who knows the French words for Fat Tuesday? Exactly. So I feel like that's what we're celebrating tonight. We're having our own special Gertrude-infused Mardi Gras. And I found this beautiful, beautiful prayer for Shrove Tuesday that I would like to share with you. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. God of feasting, we give you thanks for the richness of life. As Jesus turned water into wine at Cana, we think of your desire for all your people to celebrate life. Bless us as we celebrate the joy of being your people. Send your Spirit to dance and sing with us as we enter the season of Lent. May it too be a celebration of life, of an inward journey of contemplation and wondering, of learning and exploring. And in all this, may we grow closer to Jesus, to one another, and to you. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Enjoy. Thank you, David, for that heavenly tones of that much beloved composition. And we're so grateful for all the parade participants who have been getting ready to surprise you. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the young and the young at heart, and all critters gathered here, welcome to the 2025 Shrove Tuesday Parade. And please welcome Coco the Gorilla, our Grand Marshal. For the entire parade, Coco has been waiting a whole year to have her next parade. And as you can see, tonight's the night. Coco has been traveling all over Florida and other parts of the world to find new critter friends who would like to come and meet all of you. This is a most spectacular moment for Coco, and she hopes that all of you are thrilled to be here, full of scrambled eggs and high as a kite on sugar from the maple syrup you glugged onto your pancakes. Coco also hopes that you will not only clap and cheer, but make all kinds of gorilla and monkey noises. Ooh, 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 ooh. As she enters in other appropriate moments in our concert. Let's hear those monkey and gorilla noises one more time. Good. And yes, let's put our hands together with a rousing applause for Coco's attendants operating Coco's flamingo cart, and for Chris Reitzert, whose important job of climbing like a monkey on the ladder is something he looks forward to every year. And what does Mrs. Olson have? I think, what do you have, Mrs. Olson? They're organ playing, aren't they? And here come the sharks. Ooh, the sharks. Ooh, we better be careful. Let's hear some Jaws music. Da-da, 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 da-da. Oh, here's a duck. Quack like a duck, and an owl. Oh, let's have some round of applause for our one, and some gorilla noises. And here comes another owl, the wise owl. And look at this, a pelican. How awesome is that? Oh my goodness. We have macaws, we have the storks, we have flamingos. Look at this, flamingos. We have a rotisserie, the chicken. Perry, the peregrine falcon. And Elbow, the macaroni penguin. Oh, but here is a special, special, special. Never let it be said that the only interesting spider is in some book called Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. For St. Joe's has its own resident family, Ida the spider and her two adorable babies, Itsy and Bitsy. You may be wondering where they came from and how they decided to become part of the St. Joe's community. As you can see, the parade float is being pushed by Linda Wallowitz, St. Joe's own Spider Woman. Did you notice the name on the front door? Probably not. It's a little small, but this is the home of Shirley and Charlie Muffet. Get it? As you can imagine, if you could only know Shirley and Charlie, Shirley wants no part of sitting on a tuffet, and she definitely wants no part of spiders that could invade her beautiful home. So Shirley said to Charlie, you get rid of those spiders. Do you hear me? And Charlie, as usual, barely looking up from his morning paper, said, yes, dear. Whatever you say, dear. I'll take care of them, dear. Sometime, dear. Maybe on the weekend, dear. Maybe when we go to church, dear. And Shirley, as the only Shirley would say, well, you better, Charlie. I don't want to hear any more about it. So there you have it, folks. St. Joe's has the most beautiful spiders in all of Boynton Beach. Please welcome them in any way you wish, with a scream or a hug, but try not to step on them. And on Sunday, look under Shirley and Charlie Muffet's pew, and you'll probably see Ida with Itsy and Bitsy there too. Ooh, look at that. That's a raccoon. A raccoon, and we have beautiful macaws and birds. Oh, aren't they gorgeous? And now we have an alligator. How about that, Bobby Smith? Let's hear it for Bobby Smith. She's known for many things, but did you know this faith-filled person has a love of alligators? Oh. When she heard Coco would be having another parade on Shrove Tuesday, she immediately asked Angel, the alligator, if she wanted to be part of the festivities. Angel stays at Bobby's house, and Bobby loves to bring her to St. Joseph's for various occasions. So that's what it's like to be an alligator at Bobby's house? I asked Bobby, and here's what she said. Angel never cares for grapes and pecans, my favorite bedtime snack. So early on, I decided to give her fish, fresh when I could, or leftovers I bring home from Bonefish Grill, especially if it's lobster thermidor. At other times, I open up a can of tuna, and the scent brings Angel running. Angel's a good sleeper at night, and in the daytime, well, let's face it, almost any time. Angel's very smart and helps me do crossword puzzles. Apparently, never afraid to bite off more than she can chew. Angel loves to spend time drooling at the window, fascinated by the ducks playing and swimming in the little lake behind the house. And Angel loves to be around when I'm showering, hoping that I'll let the water fill the tub so she can soak for a good long while. Anything else, I can't tell you. Lorenzo brought grasshoppers. Oop, who do we have here? We have the flamingo. The flamingo float. Nothing says Florida like a flamingo, but our resident flamingo, Bubbles, is the one most beautiful flamingo in the entire state of Florida, from Pensacola to Key West. With a love of shrimp, caviar, champagne, and all things bubbly. Bubbles loves being in charge of things. So if you're one of those people here at St. Joe's that's looking for new leadership in your ministry area, look no further. Just speak to Coco after the concert about how to get in touch with Bubbles. She loves to sing, but truth be told, she really only has one note, and it's not necessarily a note that you would enjoy hearing, at least indoors, because it's very, very loud. Her sound is probably her interpretation of the word alleluia. Ooh, I'm not supposed to say that tomorrow. And after that word tonight, we won't say it until after Easter. And that means you better ask Bubbles to squawk for you before you leave tonight, because she's given it up for Lent. Just look at those happy lawn flamingos carried by people from all over, from Palm Beach to Cooper City. Did you see that snake that Miss Sue has? Wow. Be careful, Miss Sue. We don't want that snake to strangle you. That could be a really bad thing. Oh, here we go. Wow. I have one of those in my backyard. Yes. What an incredible iguana. There you go. The iguana does not like cold. The iguana will fall out of trees when it gets too cold. Is that Iggy iguana? Senorita iguana. Oh, here we come. Here comes Ms. Mackenzie with her skunks. Whoa, what's that smell? You may want to close your mouth now in general. No, it's not a bunch of cut up onions. Our nest guest brought on a float operated by Barbara McKenzie, our Stinkerbell and the Stunk and her two little babies, Scratch and Sniff. A few years ago, Stinkerbell heard that St. Joseph's didn't have a resident skunk, but also read, all are welcome. Let's say that.
All are welcome.
By the front gate, so they came in. Actually, they came through the gate after wandering around and being shooed off by someone who will remain nameless. And they found Coco in the music building, and they've been kicking up a stink ever since. Ooh, a frog. I love it. What music, you ask? Why, yes. Skunks love classical music and are thrilled that St. Joseph's offers a concert every year that's strictly classical music, especially hoping that young people will gain an appreciation for such beautiful music. I'll refrain from offering any skunk puns because they really stink. Oh, I have to have better awe. Oh, look at this. Here comes Miss Sorensen with, look at this. A brilliant worm coming out of an apple. Now that is one smart worm. I bet it's a bookworm. And here comes another giraffe. Is this giraffe related to Gertrude? They're cousins. Okay. Very good. I think that Fletcher is going to be very happy to have Gertrude here. Oh, we have a beaver here. You better watch out for all the wood on those pews. Yes. There he goes. Bucky Beaver. And there's a little chipmunk. What a cutie pie. The audience is getting tired. Come on, wake up, audience. Oh, here come the penguins. Let's hear it for the penguins. In the middle of winter here in South Florida, we spend so much time thinking about all who live in cold climates. But would you believe that St. Joe's now has its own iceberg, which has been in the choir room for a whole year and has not melted? This must be some kind of special iceberg, and David does not mean lettuce. Please welcome our fine emperor penguins, Gwendolyn, who also lives in my office, and her little son, Anderson, who likes to be called AC. Get it? And let me warn you, AC's a jumper, especially when he's swinging back and forth on his parapet. So get ready to fish him out of the water and get him safely back onto the iceberg. When Coco asked Mary and Dylan and Eunice Roy if they might be willing to help her with something as cold as the Antarctic, they both quickly said, anything for Coco. And Hewlett said the same thing. Coco is hoping that Mary and Hewlett might take the iceberg to Publix so the penguins can pick out their own fresh fish, delicious supper. And if anyone should ask them what they're doing with an iceberg, they can just tell them about how they're from St. Joe's and invite them to come to church. How about a clap for that? Here comes a big stork. What's bigger than a chickadee and smaller than an ostrich? A stork. You guessed it, the stork, and we're happy to introduce you to Fibonacci the stork, a famous 13th century mathematician. Maybe some of you can remember back to the 13th century. Oh, you're not that old? Fibonacci lived in Pisa, a town that's not only in Palm Beach, it's not in Palm Beach County, but many time zones away, and in some place called Italia. And in case you've never heard the name Fibonacci before, you will never forget it by the time you leave here tonight, because you'll see something later on in the program that's truly unforgettable. I don't know if you're up to your stork stuff or not, but I'll just tell you, storks are usually migratory, changing their locations with the seasons, like those humans who call themselves snowbirds. Clap if you're a snowbird. Yay, snowbirds. Which Fibonacci the stork thinks is a bit odd because they're not birds. But as you might expect, any stork that resides at St. Joe's is not just a stork, but marches to the beat of a different drummer. Our stork loves to travel internationally and makes 2 trips annually. One's to Pisa, because she claims some of the fish in the world there are the best, and another to the Black Forest in Germany, where she has relatives who live, get this, on top of a chimney. That's right. Why? Well, there's 2 reasons. One is that the chimney provides warmth, and the other is the people of Germany and France were concerned about the dwindling population of storks, so they made it illegal to remove any stork nest from a rooftop or a chimney. Who knew? Let's hope Fibonacci builds a nest right on top of St. Joe's, and that is the highest point in all of Boynton Beach. Check out, it's Wanda, a fish called Wanda. Yay, let's have some claps for Wanda. Applause, please. Oh my goodness. We have another monkey, a gorilla, a baby gorilla. There are preferential seating for the monkeys and the gorillas. You guys haven't done any gorilla or monkey sounds lately. Let's hear it. Oh, you're getting better. You're getting better. Oh, look at that. Grasshoppers. Surely no Cocoa Parade would be complete without some kind of critters. That would surely make you a little nervous and jumpy. But don't worry. Here are 2 adorable grasshoppers, Shirley Shishi and Shushu Shishi, who are they're both surely housebroken and well-trained. And please believe me when I tell you, surely they know how to play the organ, as you will see Shirley and Shushu do that later on. And who is the amazing person carrying that? It's none other than Linda Olson, who spreads joy wherever she goes. Here's a fun fact. A grasshopper can eat half its body weight in plants every day. Do you see how big our grasshoppers are? That means you can see nibbles taken out of plants on the church property. You can know surely that Shirley Shishi and Shushu Shishi did it, at least while they're not practicing on the organs. And I think we also need a round of applause for Lorenzo, who helped us so much with the animals. Okay, here's from my mother's country, Australia. How many of you have been to Oz? Yes, Oz is the best. From the land down under, Sydney the kangaroo and baby Joey somehow found Coco's house one day and started banging on the windows and doors until Coco let them in. Sydney instantly went to the refrigerator to seek food. It had been quite a journey from Australia. What was she looking for? Well, kangaroos love to eat grasses, flowers, leaves, fern, moss, and even insects. One can only wonder why Coco would have a stock of those things in her refrigerator. But I digress. Sydney heard that St. Joe's sometimes has a bounce house at a special events and decided it must be a really cool place to be. Sydney's baby Joey is adorable, although a little timid and has only been in a parade once before, here, of course. Sydney is a wonderful mother and has only one rule: no eating crackers in bed. And in case you're wondering, Sydney could leap up to the balcony in a single bound, but who wouldn't prefer to be carried by Chris Reitzert on the ladder? Here's something you would never have guessed. Sydney is one of those rare creatures that loves to be out on I-95 because traffic usually stopped, and she can safely leap over all the cars that get in her way. Be watching the next time you're out there. It's a real zoo. Oh, we have a fox, a foxy lady with a fox. Yes, let's hear it for Christine. And here comes a beautiful peacock. Oh, look at that. Wow. Gorgeous feathers. And a sloth. My favorite name of all the animals might be Speedy the sloth. Yes. What kind of a bird is it? What is it? A road runner. Beep, beep. Let's all beep, beep. Beep, beep. And is that an owl? Ooh, yes, let's all, woo, woo. Oh, here comes a bee. Can I hear some buzzing, please? There's some buzzing. We can't live in this world without our bees. They give us life. Oh, yum, ice cream. Yum, yum. And Bill has an ox on. Is that an ox? Yes, an ox. I wonder if the ox is trying to get some ice cream. Be careful when you pass Mr. Drummond. Reverend Drummond might grab the ice cream. Up, here comes the bunny. How many of you could do little bunny foo-foo? Let me see your fingers. Little bunny foo-foo. There you go, hopping through the forest. We have another bunny here. You know, bunnies are quite the personalities. There's a bunny, and the bunny thinks he's fast, fast, fast. He's going to go say hello to Charlotte. He's going to go say hello to Tank. He's going to take selfies. He's going to take a lot of pictures, a lot of selfies, because he's very confident he can beat the tortoise. Can I have a few bets here? How many vote for the crazy bunny? Now, how many vote for the slow and steady tortoise? Oh, there goes his head. So cool. That shell is just beautiful. Bunny, I think that Mrs. Drain wants to say hello to Bunny. And so does Susan, Mrs. Russell. Yep. There. Carl wants to see the bunny too. You gotta beat the bunny. You're supposed to beat the bunny. I don't know. I think that Mrs. Olson wants to see the bunny too. She wants a picture with the bunny. Linda, wave your hand and the bunny will have a picture with you. Slow and steady wins the race. If you hadn't heard this before, Edna the turtle and Myrtle the hare, they're in residence to demonstrate that we need to slow down and enjoy the journey a little more. Edna is a gentle giant that loves to move her head from side to side. Myrtle the hare loves to hop and run. But remember, the one who may be ahead in the race still has to look back to see how the race is going. Edna is not only a box turtle, but she's also a box because she loves to hide things under her shell, which means she's a box turtle box. The next time you're running a little late getting to church, cool your jets, slow down, and when you get to the church driveway, in case, Edna's on her way too. If you follow her, she will always clear a path, and you'll always get where you need to be, just when you need to be there. Let's hear it for Edna the turtle and Myrtle the hare. And let's have some gorilla and monkey sounds for Coco. Turn around and wave to Coco, everybody. Thank you, Coco. Coco, you are just amazing. We are so grateful for you. And now we come to the next part of our wonderful program. It's not only Coco's favorite hymn, but it's also one of Mother Mary Ellen's as well. So we will all stand and sing with gusto, all creatures of our God and King.
Blairsville or Bust by Coco the Gorilla, January 29th, 2021. It's good to have a lot of friends, especially the ones who know how to be kind. If they're generous and willing to share their goodness, one would never mind. Some of my friends have interesting names. As my circle grows wider and wider, Gold Marie, Kentucky Blue, Scarlet Runner, Derby, Contender, and Green Provider. Before you get too far afield in one field or another, tug on your reins and wait, for these friends are not horses, though the names might be fitting and great. These friends come in different colors like purple, yellow, and several greens. Yes, today I'll have to admit that I'm, as the expression goes, full of beans. The most famous is the string bean, though most admit they don't want to feel they're flossing their teeth with the string of a bean while chewing a yummy meal. Where there's a quill, there's a way, said the porcupine, and much more, for the string was cultivated out of the bean by botanist Calvin Keeney in 1984. With 40,000 varieties of beans in the world, why might the green one be best? There are many reasons, but I'll share two, and you can figure out the rest. Two, in either warm or cool climates, they can be grown in 45 or 60 days. Nutrients galore, from antioxidants to several vitamins, beans do contain. Naturally free of saturated fat and cholesterol, perfect for avoiding weight gain. Let me spill the beans about a way for you and your friends to have bushels of fun. Go to Blairsville, Georgia in July to the annual Green Bean Festival. Don't walk, run.
Get the Lead Out by Coco the Gorilla, April 16th, 2021. Let's consider dogs, diamonds, and double plays. As to how they may be related, it's quite easy to hear that by the sound of the letter D, they seem to have been mated. You couldn't be called incorrect for that, but what other options are there in the end? I know, they're all different things that may be considered a person's best friend. Speaking of friends, such as literary giants who couldn't have met face to face, Ernest Hemingway and John Steinbeck were connected in more than one case. You might be thinking how they wrote point of view, narration, or symbolism, but no. They both wrote their novels in pencil, for so much better their thoughts did flow. Speaking of pencils, they have a history covering over 500 years in a nutshell. Nations boast about their specific brands, and the USA has a few as well. It all started in 1812 when England found certain trade agreements to overthrow, so many people got busy making pencils, one of them being Henry David Thoreau. Speaking of Henry David Thoreau, and someone to him was quite dear, we thank his father for standardizing pencil numbers, a number 2 being dark and clear. It's time to stop worrying about pencil lead if that keeps you awake until daybreak. For pencils never did have lead, but a substance called graphite, make no mistake. Speaking of mistakes, especially for those of you who can remember back to 1858, Hyman Lipman patented the world's first eraser, a fact that needs no debate. But he couldn't have done it without vulcanized rubber, invented by Charles Goodyear, replacing wadded-up bread erasers. No wonder possible mistakes conjured up fear. Speaking of wonder, have you ever wondered how the graphite cylinder gets in there? Just put a groove in 2 pieces of wood, insert graphite, and glue together with care. Alas, this writing tool had one little problem, for it kept rolling off the table until someone made it hexagonal. I hope you get my point, if you are able.
She land and she stands, a mirrored Fibonacci poem by Coco the Gorilla. Look, wait, breathe in. The stork flies. She lands and she stands. She symbolizes birth and life. Life multiplies more quickly than 1 plus 1 plus 1. This is no doubling sequence, but an exponential trial, expansion of population. Anticipation of the arrival of every new baby brings great joy into the eagerly awaiting hearts of all who are near. For a long time, the stork watches as the newly arrived infant becomes the focal point of those who surround, and all who have gathered forget and look not for the stork who stands on one leg or two with a calm and a gentle heart. The job of the patient stork has been completed, and she must bring her loving gift to the others who await with the same anticipation. Her next destination begins to become known as she still feels warm love in her heart. She turns her eyes in the new direction she must take. She breathes a slow and measured breath. She is now ready. She takes wing, flies high and far.
Stick Your Neck Out Now by Coco the Gorilla, March 4th, 2025. There are many humans who say I stick out in a crowd, and I'll admit my beautiful spots can be a bit loud. I say let's not focus on one opinion or another, for we're really just sisters and brothers from a different mother. Instead, let me share some things about me, myself, and I, like how I can run up to 35 miles per hour with my head held high. I can make sounds with frequencies too low for humans to hear, and I have a prehensile tongue that can grip a branch, a twig, and almost my ear. I have the biggest heart of any land creature in more ways than one, and I can sleep lying down or standing up, but preferably not in the sun. The collective noun for giraffes is a tower, but you may say herd if you must. And I always know when the top of the refrigerator is covered with dust. Now let's focus on we things, some traits that you and I share. Like how we both have 7 vertebrae in our necks, though mine are more square. We both have one-of-a-kind patterns. For me, it's my spots. Yours are called fingerprints, you know, swirling spirals, lots and lots. There's one more thing I must add to your knowledge to avoid any further confusion. It's about those round furry things between my ears that are a somewhat odd protrusion. Many think they are horns, and that wouldn't be a too far off guess, but they're called ossicones, made up of cartilage and covered with hair, more or less. Your assumption that I like to stick out my neck is true, but I'd like to suggest that you consider doing it too. So, stick out your neck to help to work toward world peace. Stick out your neck to help climate change cease. Stick out your neck to help feed those in need. Stick out your neck to show kindness or do a good deed.
Safe journey.